Hello, Okky and Ronald. And hi,
Hello.
everyone. Yeah, thanks for
Hello.
tuning into our live stream today and for joining us on a Thursday. And I'm Justin from Google Developer Relations team. And welcome to our 5th edition of Startup Coffee Chat at Google Developer Space. Startup Coffee Chat is a monthly event to bring startups from across Southeast Asia to share best practices and learn from one another. And this month's topic is EdTech. And today we are super excited to have a great lineup of speakers with us. So the first speaker will be Justinus Okky. He's the engineering manager at RwangGuru. And RwangGuru is the largest tech company in Indonesia that focuses on education-based services. And the company develops various tech-based learning services, including virtual class services, online exam platforms, subscription learning videos, private tutoring marketplaces, and other educational content. Okky will share more about it later on. And Ronald is the founder and CEO of Hacktivate. Hacktivate is a rapid education program that turns absolute beginners into job-ready developers and places them into high-growth careers in tech. And Ronald also has a passion for helping others cultivate a growth mindset and thrive in their life journey. And he himself said this, he is a coffee snob and can talk to you about coffee for hours. So it's perfect for our startup coffee chat. Yeah, so for today, we'll be discussing about their journeys as well as trends, best practices, challenges, and what the future of EdTech in Southeast Asia looks like. So do submit your questions on YouTube or Facebook, wherever you're tuning in, and we'll do our best to answer them. So to start off our session today, we have Okky, who will be sharing more about himself and what he does at RwangGuru. Yep. The stage is yours, Okky.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'll share something about RwangGuru introduction. Yep. Okay. So, RwangGuru currently is the largest technology-enabled education company in Indonesia and Southeast Asia. The stress point here is our mission is to bring equal access to quality education to all learners. In terms of growth itself, now we serve 22 million users and has further operation in Vietnam and Thailand. In terms of the product itself, he already mentioned some product before, but RwangGuru product stream consists of two main streams. We call it the K-12. K-12, the customer segment is the elementary school, junior high school, and high school students. And the materials on the K-12 is based on the education curriculum by the country. And then the second product stream is about lifelong learning. This product is for public customer, especially college and after college or professionals. The intention that user use this product is usually for personal upskill. And then this is some of example of our products. In K-12 products, we have self-online learning, Ruang Belajar, and then we have the learning management system for school too. We call it Ruang Kelas, and then we have online tryouts, Ruang Uji, and etc. We have brand academy, group tutoring. In Indonesia, you call it Bimbel, Bimbingan Belajar, online and offline. And then we have the newest of our lineup products is English Academy, which is the online English courses. And as for the lifelong learning product itself, we have two main products. The B2C platform, which is the Skill Academy. We provide localized content for personal upskill. And then the Ruang Kerja, our B2B platform, we provide learning management system for companies, and the content is customizable based on the company needs. I am the engineering manager for the lifelong learning products. So my main domain is the Skill Academy and Ruang Kerja. And I also handles the Brand Academy and English Academy as a part of K-12 products. I think that's all from my introduction. Back to you, yeah.
Thanks, Okky. Yep, and yeah, let's start our panel discussion. So over to you, Ronald, to share a bit more about yourself and also about Hacktivate.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Jia. So, to give you a background about what I do, Activate is a coding bootcamp, and we, like Gia said, we turn absolute beginners into job-ready developers in 12 intensive weeks. And we help students after they come through our program to get a job afterwards. We utilize this tool that's quite new. It's called income sharing agreements. And what that does is that allows people that doesn't have the means to pay for an education, the ability to learn first and only pay after they're employed. And so how that works is that, once they're, for example, working with companies, for example, maybe like in Ruangguru, we would start to collect the tuition fee after the students have started to work over there. And so in a nutshell, that's what we do. We've been around since 2016, and we've been just, pouring lots and lots of students into the system. We're doing, close to today about 100 new people every 4 weeks into the program. And then after that, put them into different various tech companies around Indonesia, startups, telcos, and unicorns. So in a nutshell, that's what we do.
Nice. Thank you so much for the introduction. And yeah, maybe let's find out a bit more about yourselves, Okky and Ronald. So yeah, maybe you could share more about your own journey. How did you get to where you are today?
Okay.
You want to go first? Okay. Who's going first? Okay, I'll go first. Yeah, so my journey actually really started back from 2009 when I first started my first company, and so I had built my first startup called Domikado. It was a BlackBerry app, and then back in the day when BlackBerry was a thing. And so, we quickly grew that, and then actually had a small exit coming out of that, that play. And then after that, I had done a little bit of angel investing, and this was starting in 2012. And after doing a bunch of angel investing into a lot of small little tech companies, around 2014, a lot of e-commerce and a lot of tech investors started to come into Indonesia. And so what happens is that, all of these portfolio companies, they ended up, losing all their developers. Imagine, working, and then suddenly somebody comes and says, okay, we'll double your salary if you move within the next 2 weeks into this, e-commerce company or whatever. And we were actually at a loss of trying to retain developers. And so it came to a point where we're like, look, if we don't do something about this, we're going to be a tech company without developers. And so we quickly tried to figure out, what is the fastest way we can get somebody for an absolute beginner until we can get them to a point where we would hire them. And that's how Hacktivate really started. It was an accidental business as well, right? Because we didn't intend to create a business out of Hacktivate. It was just to serve our own needs. But after we went through it, we found out that this could serve a larger need, and so we just continued to grow that over time. And so that was 2016 when we started Hacktivate, and in 2019 we started the income sharing agreements, where it allowed more people to come into the program without having to pay a tuition up front. And yeah, that's the journey so far.
Oh, really interesting. Just Okky, what about yourself?
Okay. Mine maybe not so entrepreneurship like Ronald. I'm coming from a software engineer. I started in 2012 as a software engineer in local company in Indonesia. Doing the company is a software consultant company. And then starting from 2012 until 2016, I think, I'm still in the software engineering things. But the things that exciting is that I only focus on the technical side at that time. Gitu. And then I joined a startup in travel startup in Indonesia. At that point, that's the first time I got into a startup tech company. So it's really mind-blowing for me. I mean, eye-opening, because from the previous mindset that I'm a software engineer, I do the code only code, and that's enough. Turns out in the tech startup, that's not enough. I mean, I need to care about the impact that I'm creating, about the product, about our user, about our business. There are so many things that I need to take care about. So it's a fun journey, actually. I'm enjoying that journey, that kind of change of mindset. And then I come to realize that as a software engineer, we cannot do we cannot only good at the technical point of view, technical side only, but as a software engineer, we are a problem solver. So we need to help our stakeholders, which is maybe the business, maybe the users, to solve their problem through creating the system, the good system. Yeah, I think and since last year, RwangGuru kind of approached to me, and what I see in RwangGuru is the impact they are creating, especially in Indonesia, because in education the impact is very very big. Right? I mean, you touch more and more customer, you touch more in the important aspect of their life, their foundation. Yeah, so that's what's interesting for me, and why I joined RwangGuru. Yep.
Wow, thanks so much for sharing your journeys. Yeah, I really relate to when you're in a startup. Yeah, one head is never enough. You really
Yes.
need to do as much as you can. Yeah, and maybe let's move on to the next question. So, yeah, any personal goals you set out for yourself this year?
Okay.
So I can start here. So in terms of personal goals, actually, I've actually been doing a lot more reading. This is a very personal goal. Actually, what I ended up doing at the end of last year was actually join an ARC club. And what an ARC is actually it's an advanced reader copy book club. So they basically, publishers give you books, you read them before they get published, and you give your reviews before they get published. You have to work yourself to a point where you review enough books, and then they actually start giving you all the better books. And there's also a deadline attached to it. So for me, because there's a deadline, I end up finishing way more books than I would normally do if I didn't have a deadline. And so I've been doing that. I've been reading a bunch of interesting books. There's a new Kim Scott book. I think she was a Googler. She made that book Radical Candor, but then she has a new book coming out next month, and I was able to review that early on. There's a Jeff Bezos book that's coming out with Walter Isaacson. Those books, it was great to just go through that, and I've set a goal for myself to just continually learn, right, to keep growing in that way, and that's the growth mindset part of what I'm trying to do.
Wow. Yeah, maybe I should try that. That sounds really interesting. I've downloaded so many books on Kindle, but I have, it's always like, I'll try next week, I'll try next month. And before
the deadline will get to you. That they're like, okay, I've got like 3 weeks rest to finish X amount of chapters, and then you finish it, and then it makes me read, right? So you should definitely check that out. I'll send you the link later.
Thanks for sharing. Okay, what about yourself?
My personal goals may be more simpler and more personal. The bottom line is that to survive 2021, in terms of the working from home setup, I cannot deny that it's affecting me personally. I mean, in how we work and etc. Agree that RwangGuru is a tech company, but turns out the change from when you go to office, meeting people, have some collaboration with the people in real, in real person, compared to the working from home setup, it's very different. And to be honest, I'm still adjusting until right now, and my personal goal is to accept that, and so that I can be more productive in the working from home setup, something like that. And of course, I want to leverage this to my team too. I want to have the more better product development life cycle in my team, because with the stakeholder also, because the shifting way of work is really impacting to us, and we're still adjusting to it. And we hope that we can be more and more productive compared to the working from office setup, something like that.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, actually, that's a next question that we wanted to get to. So, I think due to the pandemic, and I think most of us are working from home. So, do you have any tips on how you keep your team engaged? So in the past, it's really easy to walk up to another person in the office to bounce ideas off. but now you have to schedule a call, and there are so many calls, so many meetings we have in a day. Are there any tips that you would like to share?
Okay, I'll go first, Ronald. Okay, so what I'm trying to do is the shifting mindset. I mean, the one clear impact of the working from home is the work fatigue. Because there is no clear separation between work and home. I mean, if you work from home, your home, your sanctuary, maybe get deleted. I mean, because you work on your sanctuary at home, right? So what we need to do is the shifting mindset. We need to embrace that actually. I mean, I've been trying to separate that. I mean, this is work, this is home, this is work, this is home. But I think that's not going to work. That's not work for me. That didn't work for me. So what I'm trying to do is to embrace that. Embrace that this is our current condition right now. We need to accept it that we need to work from home. Home maybe not our sanctuary anymore, but yeah, I mean, work and home will be integrated, not separated anymore. So the shifting of mindset that we need to embrace in ourselves. That's the first thing. And the second thing is communication, because when you communicate with real person, I mean, you can see their face, see their body language, and etc. You can grasp the signal that are they accepting our suggestion, are they rejecting our suggestion. But usually in the working from home setup, opening camera is not a default way of doing the meeting, especially that's what I see in RwangGuru. So we need to be more active in the communication. I mean, when you ask question, you need to be very, very clear. It's better to over communicate something when you coordinating with someone, something like that. Yeah, that's the 2 points that my tips and trick to how we handling the working from home setup.
Wow, those are really great tips.
Yeah, I gotta implement some of that stuff too, Okky. I think that's cool. But for us, I think one of the things that we're trying to really figure out is really the burnout piece. Like I think like a lot of people in our organization, it's burning out from everything from home learning, meaning like they're teaching their kids while they have to work, becoming a parent around the same time, just like all these different challenges that come along with it. So and I agree with you as well. Okay, like when we have our meetings, a lot of people turn on their cameras as well. So that was something that we had to try to encourage people to do. But one thing that we've been trying to push is actually having inter-organizational clubs that continue to happen. And so what that looks like is, in the past we used to have things like, everybody would go watch a movie together and things like that, or discuss certain topics that they enjoy together. Obviously today we can't watch a movie together, perhaps maybe streaming at the same time, I don't know. But what we're trying to do is actually trying to get people from cross organizational functions to interact with each other. So for example, for us, there might be people in our back office staff that wouldn't know people in our development team, for example. And we wanted to create an opportunity and clubs of similar interests so that they can connect with each other. So we've had even clubs such as if you're there's this faith at work club that we also do. So people that believe in a certain faith, they can meet together during lunchtime and talk about that. So just different creative ways to make people interact, having lunch together, things like that, just to reduce the burnout and reduce this social distancing fatigue, I would say as well.
Nice. Thank you so much for sharing. Maybe let's get into the EdTech related questions that our audience is waiting for. So first question, how has COVID-19 accelerated the EdTech industry? And maybe you could share how examples of how it has impacted your company.
Okay, I'll start. So how has COVID-19 accelerated the EdTech industry? In RwangGuru, we see that user interest is increasing, very, very increasing. But unfortunately, the user buying power doesn't come with the increase of the user interest. So there is some gap that we need to fill on that side. And then in terms of the product itself, since COVID-19, everything offline goes online, right? And there is some, I'm not saying shifting behavior, but accelerating behavior that from offline to online. And then turns out our user, both maybe students and the teacher, is not every student and every teacher is tech savvy enough to do the learnings online. So what we need to do, our product should be is up the shift of user behavior from offline to online platforms. That's the product, the process that we want to shape up in RwangGuru. In terms of teams, I said it before that our team is working from home right now. So yeah, it's really shifting the way of work as explained before. Yep, I think that's the point that I want to share.
Yeah, I think same with us as well. I think we've, sort of initially seen a decline. Initially, like in the Q2 when the COVID first initially hit, there's definitely a lot of adjustments that we had to do in terms of our customers and all things like that. We had to shift from a physical business into a very much digital one. And there was also like this initial sense of fear when COVID was starting out in terms of, buying power and things like that. But as we came into Q3, Q4 of last year, and even Q1 today, I think things have, it almost looks like a V-shaped recovery. In fact, like even better than before, because what we see, again, it's important to understand our background here. We're training people to become developers and, help organizations adopt digital, like to have like a digital infrastructure in their organizations. And in Q3 and in Q4, the hiring rate actually increased. So more companies, and think about like traditional businesses, started to look for developers, right? And these are companies like factories that in the past, you wouldn't think that they would hire a developer, but now that they're forced to suddenly think about digitization in their organization, suddenly there's a growing demand in these areas that we didn't see coming. And so yeah, I absolutely agree. COVID-19 has definitely accelerated the EdTech industry, and for us, we can really see it from how people are continuing to hire our graduates.
Oh, that's really interesting. Yeah, I think the next question is also linked to it. So, what are some trends or changes in the industry you observed? So, I think Ronald, earlier you mentioned about a lot of companies are digitizing their processes, hiring developers. Yeah, so what are some other trends that you foresee will be coming up as well?
Yeah, I think like, in terms of, again, like organizations, they really, there is that growing demand for people to get upskilled inside the organizations, especially like, for a lot of people that have, almost like become really, left behind after everything had started to move online. I think that something that was interesting that we observed is that, a lot of the people that started to come into our organization that wanted to become students have been people that have been laid off, and then they're trying to reskill and get back into a job. And so that's what, a big part of our focus is today, is to help those types of folks. In terms of the overall industry, I feel like, it has made people much more comfortable learning online. So in the past, like we used to try to sell online learning, but then nobody would bite because everybody would always say like, look, I'm more comfortable if it's an in-person thing, I can ask an instructor directly, but that notion has almost disappeared. And, for us, it's made my life so much easier. Before I had to create all these buildings and like classrooms to get people into our, to become our customers. Today, I just opened more, Zoom rooms or Google Meet rooms, because this is a Google event, to basically scale up what we're doing, the teaching. And so I think it's great to see that the acceptance of online learning suddenly being accelerated as well.
Yep, very agree with you.
Yep. Yeah, see you nodding in agreement to whatever Ronald shared.
Yeah, because that's what I see in the lifelong learning products too. So when the COVID first hit, we see a declining trend. And then I think when people already accepted that, yeah, this is COVID, we cannot go outside, and we need to shift from offline to online. And then people, I think, tends to carefully spend their budget. And the ones that they want, they are willing to spend their budget is to upskill themselves, because in this online accelerated online era, the online skill, I mean, it's not about the tech, but in every job aspect, you need to be able to digitize yourself, right? I mean, digitize your work and etc. So that the demands for upskilling user self is very increasing after, I think, Q4 into 2020. So yeah, that's the trend that I observe, and the learning become more and more personalized. I mean, maybe the ones that you want to upskill yourself, maybe not related to your job. Maybe you want to shifting job, or maybe you so there is two main path, I think. The one is to amplify your job, and the second one is to shifting your job. The shifting job usually from the very offline base to the things that are more online savvy, something like that. Yep.
Wow, that's really interesting.
Mm.
So the hello Ronald, child. Yeah, the next question we have is what are some challenges you observed in the industry, and how is your team working to solve them?
Okay. From the K12 K12 products, what we see change in the industry is that we know that the students maybe tired from learning online. What we see is that the learning itself changed, of course, from offline to online, but the learning intention changed also from the one that usually student wants to understand the subject and etc. Became more shortcuts. I mean, just so that they can finish their homework, finish their task, copy paste the question in Google, maybe something like that, and then they just paste it in their homework assignment, and instead of how they truly learn the subject. So that's the ones that I observe change in the industry. We know that, yeah, we know online learning is not, maybe the student is not accustomed, not very it's a new things for them, like the online learning. But we see that the learning intention is shifting to more practical instead of they truly learn the subject. And what we do I mean, we are not really against that. We truly understand, but we try to educate our customer, the students, to be back to our root, that students should learn truly on the subject, understand the A to Z of the subject, not only finishing the task. Finishing this task is only the result of your learning, right? Yeah, that's what I see change in the industry in K12 products. As on from the lifelong learning, what I said before, the learning become more personalized, and yeah, that two part of the upskill, the leveraging your current works and changing your jobs to more online savvy.
Yeah. For me, I think like some of the observations that I see, maybe more on the hiring side of things, not so much on the education piece itself, but then in terms of like the job market for developers and things like that, it's actually been an up and down curve. During this period, we've seen a lot of companies shut down as well because of the pressures of COVID. And that has actually resulted in a lot more developers out there in the market. Although there's this sense of there's still scarcity and all that, but then currently, if we look into the market, I think it's more of a hirer's market, right? Like it's an employer's market. They have more of the bargaining chip at the moment, and so. One of the key challenges for us is actually, because we produce more of these junior developers, like we have to figure out creative ways to help them, get into these job interviews, because the number of jobs, like we now have to start to perhaps try to send our students into overseas companies as well, like not just the Indonesian ecosystem. So those are things that our teams are working on.
Oh, I'm just gonna show a comment real quick. Amos asked, so this is more directed to Okky. Any plans for RwangGuru to come to Singapore? Tuition here is $1 trillion industry. So yeah, I think this plays into the tiger mom stereotype.
I see. Yeah, RwangGuru is still expanding to another countries. As for now, I cannot share the detail yet. But yeah, we are targeting Southeast Asia for our next expansion.
Nice. Yeah, you must keep a lookout. Yeah, let's move on to the next question. Yeah, this is one that I'm really interested in knowing as well. So yeah, if you could time travel to day one of your startup or when you first joined RwangGuru team, what would you change?
You
Okay.
can go first. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. For me, I think I want to change my attitude, my mindset also, because back then I'm not a very much a team player. I only do what I told to do. I mean, you got this, you get that. You. I need some system, some program like this, and then I code that, something like that. I'm not care. I don't care about the impact I'm creating and etc. I don't care about the product. I don't own the product. So yeah, if I could change back, travel back in time, what I want to change is the mindset and the attitude from my old self. Because in the tech startup, the collaboration is very open. I mean, I get many chance to many opportunity to collaborate with the stakeholder, and the collaboration is very vibrant. I mean, we can as engineer, I can go to the user testing, I can go to the design exploration and etc. So it's very open. So I don't want to limit myself to do what engineering, I mean engineering quote unquote as in the technical aspect would do only. So I want to know more about the user perspective, about the business intention, about the product. Yep.
Wow, this is an interesting question. I think for me, like seeing how we've grown, from a 5-person company all the way to today, we're at about only 120. Still much smaller than RwangGuru. But then I think if I could tell myself things back then, I would probably say we need to optimize for trust. And what I mean by that is, as an education institution, what carries you forward, what makes people come back to you is when you can optimize this trust. For us, it's with employers and it's also with students. If we can make sure that students that come into our program are able to graduate and come and get out with a high-paying job, then we've already built that trust with the student. And same goes with the employers as well. If these students come into their employers, they perform really well, then the employers will continue to rehire from us. The other thing probably would be to hire an HR much earlier. And what I mean by that is that the first 20, 30 people that you hire in an organization really sets up the culture going forward of how these smaller teams continue to grow. And I wish that I paid more attention to that, not because that things are not doing well today, but I think it could be a lot better. We can definitely optimize different things that we wanted to do. And I think having an HR person earlier or an HR strategist would help us move along faster, I think, in retrospect. Yeah.
Wow. You touched on HR and culture, and I think that's one thing that a lot of startups, they do talk about a lot about the culture in the company. But I'm curious, maybe you could share more on, I think sometimes culture is very hard to define. So when you share about culture, what are some of the, key factors that you would look out for? How would you measure what is good culture in the company?
Yeah, I can say. So, for us, we have all these really weird rules as a company, right? One of them is, for example, that nobody's allowed to work after 6 o'clock. And the idea being is that, we don't want our team members to have to choose between their work and their family time. And so we really believe that after 6 o'clock, it's time with your family. And we also have, rules such as, no WhatsApp after 9 p.m., at least for work-related stuff. Because we really think that, equally how hard people work and how well people rest is, two things that we need to optimize for to get, really good outcomes. So there's things like that we had built on. There's definitely other different parts of culture, how we approach arguments, how we have already set the boundaries ahead of time, that we come into the company or into like these discussions knowing that we want to do things for the students' success, right? And so even though we get into different disagreements inside meetings and things like that, we still hold on to the truth that okay, whatever we're fighting each other for, at the end of the day, it's really for what's best for the student. So I think those types of cultures being built out early. We also have, weird things like, and some companies might not agree with us, but we actually have full-time counselors on our team. And these are folks that basically help prevent people from burning out. Because we've seen firsthand, when instructors that we have on the team start to get really invested with the students, if the students don't perform, they're the ones that burn out, the instructors. And so we have to make sure that their well-being is really taken care of. And those things matter in the long run. And that's how we've sort of approached it.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah. There's another comment that came in as well. I guess this is also, I think it's more of a comment than a question. So in the last year, 2020, there's a 35% jump in search for online course. I'm curious to know if Okky or Ronald, if you have any experience, from last year, were there any spikes in particular courses that people are interested in learning? Any particular languages that you see a spike in?
Yep, in terms of personal upskill, as I said before, the topics is very diverse. It's very personal. So, but the what is it? The bottom line is the revolutionize from the offline to online. So course that helping the users, the customers, shifting from offline to online. I mean, like for example, if you are an office lady, administrative office lady, the Excel course is become more apparent for them, something like that. Yeah, that's it. That's just one example. But agree that the online course demand is increasing throughout the 2020, especially in Q3 and Q4.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think the demand has definitely increased. I think the way that we look at it is a lot of the students that come or want to apply, to join the Hacktivate course are mostly people that are looking for jobs. So what's interesting is that we saw that, our applicants used to only be about 200, 250 per month. Today, they're at, 1,200 per month. And so I think growth has significantly increased. We're still in a position where we're trying to catch up to be able to serve those folks.
To add something, I forgot to mention that the online course related to entrepreneur is also increasing. For example, I think people is trying to have some, I think second job, or maybe some things that they want to do by themselves. Like for example, the production of masks because of the corona, and then the barista course for creating artistic coffee and etc. Something like that. Yeah, because people tends to want to have some side job, something like that, to support their economical aspect. Yep.
Oh, cool. I think it's a little related to the next question. So what sets RwangGuru apart from other giants? I guess you get that question a lot.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Yep. So what sets RwangGuru apart from the giants like Coursera, Udemy, Udacity, and etc.? What we do, our competitive advantage is that we do localized content, localized that and very related to our user and customer. So that's why when we want to go overseas to another country, it's not like copy paste the RwangGuru apps to the another country, but we need to study the how the local student studies, and then how the personal upskill happens in the country itself, because every country have some unique trait, I think, some unique way of learning and etc. So what we want to provide is localized content that hopefully very relate to the user or customer.
Thanks for sharing. Yeah, I guess it's not as easy as just changing the language, but there's a lot of other factors that we will need to consider.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, so just conscious of time, we have a couple of minutes left. So if anyone you want to have your questions answered, do leave them in the chat and we'll see if we can get to them. Yep. Let's move on to a few other questions. So we have covered the trends, the challenges, and let's move on to the future. So what do you see the future of EdTech look like? And yeah, what do you think will continue? What are some trends that would change?
For me personally, the future of EdTech online will persist and will be, I think, the new normal for the education technology. And what I perceive is that maybe the formal education will embrace the online too. I mean, currently they are very not very open on the offline, but because COVID, it accelerated, very much accelerated, so that I think formal education is not far apart from the online integration.
Yeah, what I actually hope for, for EdTech as well, is actually the access to financing for education needs to improve. I think, especially what we've seen here in Indonesia, the government has started to, deploy subsidies into online learning products, right? But then I think there's still a greater need for, people that need to, go into the full universities, continue their upskilling and things like that as well. So I really do hope methods such as the income share agreement gets more widely adopted. In the US, ever since Joe Biden is now the president, they're trying to deal with that student debt crisis by moving things towards an income share model. And I think that is really the solution, and I hope that more of that really happens in this region.
Yeah, I don't think it's that common yet, right? It's still at the early stages.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, in the US and in Europe, South America, it's actually already regulated. But it's crazy to, say that in Asia, it's still an unregulated industry, this whole income share piece.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I think it links to the next question that we got during registration, which is what do you think is the next big disruptor in EdTech?
Yeah, I will think it's the interaction. I mean, currently what we are doing is to shifting the offline to online, right? I mean, we try to replace the offline to online, but the next big disruptor is to completely revolutionize the online interaction, especially in the education technology, in the how people learn. I mean, take for example, when teacher do some lessons in class. Currently, we substitute that with the live teaching, maybe using Zoom and etc. But the interaction is trying to moving from offline to online, but it's not revolutionize the online interaction itself. So what I think will be the next big disruptor is the whole complete package of the online interaction from the education technology. In terms how we learn, how we study things, and etc., will be revolutionized by the accelerated shifting from offline to online.
Yeah, I think for me, the trend that I've been closely watching is actually in this space called the CBC, which is basically cohort-based courses, right? And what that looks like is, the ability for, and these platforms, their ability for people to start, courses on their own, but then have everything else, as part of the registration, the payments, everything fully managed end to end. Because today we already see, especially during this COVID period, people launching their own webinars, people, trying to create their own classes, not just like, learning English or something more formal like that, but even as far as, how to become a better mother, how do you take care of this baby that's just born, things like that. And these types of courses, it's hard to just, consume it as a one-way learning product, like watching a video, but it requires this interaction, with other peers, with also the person conducting the course as well. So I think CVC is a space to watch actually, and it's really exciting how things are progressing in that area.
Oh, that's the first time I'm hearing the term. Yeah,
Okay.
learning something new as well. That's really interesting. I guess maybe a last question that we have, since earlier, Okky, you were sharing that a lot of people are also looking at entrepreneur courses, and Burnout, you also founded your own startup. So maybe just a word of advice or encouragement, to all the aspiring entrepreneurs out there. What advice would you share with them?
Yeah, we are actually in a period of time. I think that this is currently the golden age of tech, especially in Indonesia, right? Like the internet penetration has reached a point where this is it. It's time to monetize and grow. And so if you're ever considering to start a startup, I think this is it, and really don't miss it, right? So really just that, I think just go and try it yourself. There's a term with entrepreneurs that always say fake it till you make it, but really the right attitude to have is just pivot until you make it. Because the products that you build, the solutions that you create, they're never going to be perfect, but if you keep trying and keep iterating, you'll get to a point where it becomes a fit.
Oh, thanks. That was really inspiring. I hope to all the entrepreneurs out there who's thinking of starting your own startup, we hope you learned something and took away some valuable insights from today's session as well. We'll be wrapping up the session really soon. Just a few last announcements. So RwangGuru and Hacktivate, they are actually alumni of Google for Startups accelerator programs. And our Indonesia accelerator just opened for applications this week. So we are opening it to seed and Series A startups. So feel free to apply. We will share the link in the comments later on. And we value your feedback. So do share with us what you think about today's session, and if there's any upcoming topics you would like to hear about. And until then, stay tuned for our upcoming events on our website and social channels. And once again, thank you so much, Ronald and Okky, for joining us today to share your lessons. I think learned a lot of new terms, learned more about the both of you, your own journeys as well. So thank you so much for joining and taking the time to share your insights with us.
Thank you for having us.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. We'll see you next month.